does bring us to the NFL draft, which is tomorrow. Now, I don't know about you guys if you're hearing the same amount of buzz about this draft as years past, if that's because it's all going to be online or we're not having the big spectacle that we were supposed to have in Las Vegas. There was talked about that the guys, as they got picked, were going to come out of the green room and go onto a boat and ride a boat to the stage. And it seemed like it was going to be quite the spectacle in Las Vegas. But obviously, with what we have going on in terms of the virus and shutdowns and everything like that, we're doing an all virtual or digital draft. NFL GMs are going to be reporting or putting in their picks from their homes. I've been doing a little bit of reading on this, and it sounds like a couple dry runs that they did just to test out everybody's internet and all that sort of things didn't go quite as planned. I'm just going to read you a quote here from a report that I was reading, and it said one NFL source told us that it was, quote unquote, a shit show with a bunch of 60-year-old men not muting their phones, yelling at their computers. ESPN's Diana Rossini reported she had to hang up on a head coach because during their call, the coach could be heard instructing his young children to get off their iPads and taking up his household internet bandwidth in a loud dad voice. So I think what they were getting at here is that, we may not see as many trades within the draft. They'll certainly be able to trade, before a draft day starts, after a draft day ends, and before the next round start the next day. But all those kind of last minute trades may not happen just because people are unable to get a hold of each other, which I see, but I also don't necessarily agree with, because just because your internet doesn't work doesn't mean you can't pick up your phone and call somebody, and because that's what they were doing anyway before this whole digital virtual draft. What do you guys think? Are we going to see hiccups? Are we going to see some glitched out screens, some GMs that are frozen on screen trying to make picks? Or do you think it's just going to run smoothly?
This is an easy answer for me, actually. I think everybody works for a company where they have at least one person that doesn't know how to mute the phone or put it into full go. So, right. Of course, there's going to be little hiccups. Like, this is for me, it's like a video game world dream. Like, we all get to see it firsthand. They should be able to experience it with a few hiccups, and I think it'll go just fine. I think there'll be a lot of trades. I think it'll be pretty crazy, to be honest with you. So I'm looking forward to it.
Anybody else?
Well, I just want to say that in your comment there from the source, since I am pushing almost 60 years old, especially according to you guys, I think that I'm a little offended by that comment where she says a bunch of 60-year-old men not muting their that's just me.
But it's spot on.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, I've had some troubles muting myself, but I think they'll get it figured out, to be honest with you. I think Chris hit it spot on. There's probably going to be some issues here and there, but I think they will figure it out and get this thing taken care of. I'm not sure why there isn't much hype. I mean, for me personally, it's just because every time I turn on my phone or the TV, it's COVID-19, and, in most cases, rightfully so. But I think that's probably why there isn't as much hype around it. But
definitely.
And maybe it'll be a good release for a lot of people, something different that's, on TV, something different to watch. It's the same setup as it has been in years past. Tomorrow will be just round 1, and then Friday will be rounds 2 and 3, and then Saturday will be rounds 4 through 7. So just a quick little dive into the draft, just covering kind of the main points that everybody's been talking about. Somebody that I read a lot and listen to a lot is Evan Silva. He runs a podcast website called Establish the Run. Somebody that I've really trusted for fantasy football, but also has a lot of statistical and analytical breakdown. Say it's on certain cornerbacks against certain wide receivers. So yes, it's for fantasy, but the breakdown is certainly real life numbers and based on real life performance. So he does a good job of doing his mock drafts. He's usually pretty spot on, other than the trades that, sometimes you can never see happening. But what do you guys think? Is Joe Burrow, is he obviously number 1? You guys think the Bengals are going to do something different and shock everybody?
I think I'm not sold 100% that Joe Burrow's number one. I think Tua could go in a surprise only because it's the Bengals, and traditionally you haven't been sure what they're going to do, and they've not been the greatest run organization in the world.
So do you see a ripple effect then, and having Andy Dalton being dealt to somebody else on this draft weekend? So maybe the Patriots grabbing a quarterback or something like that.
I think the Red Rocket is going to be a New England Patriot.
Have the Bengals said he isn't coming back?
He's still under contract.
Okay, because I still think Chase Young is the guy who should go number one. That's, I guess drafting a quarterback, to me, in the top 5, it's gone wrong more than it's gone right in the past. So if I'm the Bengals, I would take Chase Young. He seems like a easy, perennial Pro Bowler who's going to be a good player for the franchise for a very long time, whereas Joe Burrow could be, gone in 2-3 years. He could never beat out the Red Rocket, the Red Rifle.
Yeah, I think Andy Dalton is good enough. That is Joe Burrow that much of an improvement? Is he that much of an improvement right away? Could he develop into something? Sure. I mean, I don't think any of us and anybody even within these organizations know what these guys are going to develop into. Like you're saying, I would take the guy who's ready now, and that is that Chase Young. Maybe he doesn't make as big of a difference on your team in terms of your overall record, but I don't know that Joe Burrow is that much better than Andy Dalton to make that much of a difference either.
Yeah, Andy Dalton was in talks for MVP a few years ago when he got injured. I mean, the guy was playing well, and he's been out without his top wide receiver for the last year at least, So, I mean, you got to cut him a little bit of slack there, I think. But
Ben, Andy Dalton was in talks for MVP?
Wasn't it like 3-4 years ago?
Yeah,
no, wasn't it 3-4 years ago?
Start out with a great record, and then the Bengals being the Bengals seem to fall off. But because Deke did talk about he thinks Tua maybe sneaks in as a surprising number 1 pick, where do you guys see him falling? One, is he going to be a round 1 pick? Was what happened to him a freak injury, or with some of these other nicks and bruises that he's picked up along the way, is he injury prone? I mean, what do you guys think? He's not the biggest guy, so is he more along the lines of an RG3, where all the talent in the world, but is he ever going to stay on the field, or is this guy a surefire bet to hit it big and should go number 1?
I like Tua going number 5. I don't know if he'll go to the Dolphins. I know they have 3 first-round picks. That's kind of where he's been projected. Maybe them or the Chargers at 6. But the way contracts are right now for quarterbacks, it's a hit and miss. You get 4 or 5 years on it with a first round because of the extra year. I think that most teams will take that risk just to put it into a great financial salary situation like moving forward. So I don't think Tua is anything like RG3 or maybe other quarterbacks. Yeah, he's got injury prone, but I would take the risk on him for sure. Seems very talented and level-headed.
Can you guys remind me who the Dolphins quarterback is right now? I apologize, but who currently is the Dolphins QB?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
Oh, it is Fitzmagic. You're right.
Fitzmagic.
So the Dolphins could be a decent spot, Chris. I agree.
Yeah, at least with Fitzpatrick there, he doesn't have to start right away. He can sit for a year or 2.
Yeah. Yep. And fully heal and learn and things like that. So he may not be an impact player come game 1 of this next season, but certainly somebody to keep an eye on. I honestly think the surprise will be Tua falling out of the first round. I think there's what I've been reading lately is not the sexy picks, but the big men up front in the trenches. We're going to see a lot of offensive tackles taken tomorrow night. So we'll see how that all plays out. We have a couple players.
What are you willing to put on that? You have that is a bold prediction
falling out
right
of the
there.
first round. I mean,
I would give you a lot of odds. I think it's a fantastic prediction just for something.
I think you guys should do some sort of facial.
I think you've lost your mind.
Well, we can't do a facial hair bet because Jason can't grow any. So
Well, that's why it's fun.
Oh.
Mine's patchy too. It sucks.
The viewers wouldn't see anything until like season 2 of this show, not
be-
episode 2, season 2.
could be a haircut bet.
I'm up
It'll
for that.
be a round of
My hair
it'll be a round of drinks for sure. We can figure it out, but I
Okay.
think if he drops out of the
Put it at
first
a
round,
round of
that'd be a
drinks
very
and
big
we can,
shocker.
You guys only have until tomorrow to figure out these odds, but we can figure that out. I do want to touch on a couple people that we all are sort of excited to see. They're not necessarily people we followed throughout college, but we maybe have heard about, seen highlights, and now we're just wondering where they're going to end up. For me, it's Isaiah Simmons. He is probably the most, other than Chase Young, the most talked about defensive player because he's a linebacker, he's a safety, he's this hybrid player. He's like I don't want to say supersized because he's not huge, but he's I think about 6'4", so he's like a bigger version of Tyrann Mathieu, kind of a large honey badger. And came out of Clemson. Evan Silva has him projected currently as going to the Panthers, a replacement for Luke Kuechly. So not somebody that our Packers are probably going to get unless they made some type of drastic move up in the draft, but somebody I'm certainly excited to see. Chris, you had Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. What are you excited to see there?
Sorry, don't know how to work that mute button. I'm turning into D. I put
You're
Jordan
close
Love
to
just
60.
because. I went with Jordan Love just because at the end of the first round, it's always interesting to see which good teams are willing to take that last ditch on the quarterback for the extra year of a contract. It intrigues me. People compare this to Aaron Rodgers. It's completely different, honestly. Like those guys, him and Alex Smith were both projected in the top 5, potentially who was going to go number 1. Jordan Love's not even in that conversation. I just think the way things are now, he's definitely going to just get picked in the late first round by a good team that'll kind of maneuver for a year or two until he starts.
Late in the first round, would you be opposed to the Packers taking him as an Aaron Rodgers heir in waiting?
No, I would be opposed to that, yes, because it's not the same situation. He wasn't a top 2 pick. Like Aaron fell to him. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a gift in a box. Like we got super lucky. He could have been the first overall pick. I mean, that's different than Jordan Love, who could be a first rounder and just we take him because we take him. So I think add talent around the Packers. No, I would definitely pass on a QB.
Yeah, currently Evan Silva has him going number 24 to the Saints, so heir apparent to Drew Brees. So
yeah,
that's
Saints, Patriots. I've heard a lot of rumblings.
Yeah. So Justin, you went with 2 Badgers. You went with Jonathan Taylor, running back, and Quintez Cephas, wide receiver. What are you thinking there?
Well, I wanted the Badgers. I mean, it's a total homer pick, right? I mean, I want to see what the Badgers are going to do. I love the Badgers. Jonathan Taylor, he's your classic Badger running back. You get behind a big offensive line and you run for all these yards. You win all these running back awards. And then you go to the NFL and you just want to see what he can do. I think for me, that's why where he's going to get drafted, running backs are tending to fall. But again, as a Homer Badger fan, I just want to see what the next great Badger running back can produce in the NFL. And also, I read recently that he received the largest contract with Topper's Pizza for like a endorsement deal with Topper's Pizza for a running back. I just thought it was interesting and kind of neat. But
I'm all ready to eat Toppers. I'm already willing.
Yeah.
I think they gave him ownership rights to like 3 or 4 different actual storefronts in the Madison area. So keeping the ties to the Wisconsin Badgers. But I think a cool move, something that's different. You don't necessarily hear a lot about it, but I guess it was one of the bigger endorsement type deals for these soon to be rookies. Any takes on Cephas? I know he had a tumultuous run with the Badgers and certain things that happened, and he was able to get back on the field this last year. So just hoping he can land somewhere.
Cephas for me is a guy, again, coming from a Badger fan, where traditionally the Badgers are a run team and then they have one good receiver, and that was him. and there really has never been any receivers really pan out in the NFL. And I just think, to me, he's probably got the most skills to do so. Body type, according to what guys are saying, he likes to run block. He runs well after the catch. And in today's NFL, a lot of your short run, first down, second down plays are quick screens up to the receivers. And he's big, good body. So, again, I just am interested to see if a Badger receiver can actually produce in the NFL and make a name for himself. So
I just want you to know, Deke, that he's listed at number 29 out of 43. So do you think he'll go in the top five rounds of the NFL draft?
I'll say, if I'd say yes or no. And the only reason is because he's a Badger receiver. And I just think I think a lot of people look at Badger receivers, not very good, but I think he has the potential to. I think here's the other thing. I think he will make an NFL team.
Okay, I like that.
Oh, for sure. I think so too.
So,
Evan Silva didn't have either of them projected in the first round, which I don't think is a shock. But I think they'll both contribute as early as next year if Cephas can, make a name for himself in camp. Ben, you had an interesting name on here. You went with Jalen Hurts, the former quarterback at Alabama and then with Oklahoma. Also not projected as a first-round pick, but what are you hoping to see there?
I guess what I was excited for with him, I see a lot of the same things I thought I saw with Dak Prescott, where wasn't a lot of hype for him before the draft, didn't get a lot of hype in the college ranks, but once he got into the NFL, I felt like, obviously Dak has been doing very well, and I think Hurts could be along that same sort of path where he's underrated. He goes to a team that maybe doesn't need him to come and step in right away, and he can develop for a little while. And I think he's more NFL ready than a lot of these other guys who are going to be going in front of him. So
yeah, kind of one of those steady athletes, played in a couple different systems, so he can obviously pick up new stuff and perform on the field. So I like that one. And then we just wanted to touch, we're obviously all Packer fans. We're all from Wisconsin.
Did he freeze? It's a nice
frozen.
face there.
Yeah, we have lost him.
We lost Jason, the
Uh-oh.
producer.
Someone want to text him?
Good. Otherwise, we can just roll with it.
Unless he's playing a game. Like maybe he's just trying to stay frozen quick.
Yeah. He looked down at his pick for the Packers and he's like, this is really bad. I don't want to do it.
Well, since we're still going, I'll talk about my first. I mean, do you guys have any? Do you want the Packers to make a move here move up a little earlier in the first round, move back, get an additional first rounder? What are you guys thinking?
For me,
I would love to see him. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if the Packers got a quarterback to be the heir apparent to Rodgers. I really wouldn't mind that. I think, but for me, who I picked was the tight end. So if they could move up at all to get a tight end, I think that's what they need. I know I just saw a stat today that Rodgers lost 600 and some yards on drop the balls from his receivers, which was the most in the NFL. Again, I don't know how many of those were Jimmy Graham or his tight ends that he had the past couple of years, but I think he could get some more tight end help. And my one with Bryce Hopkins from Purdue. He's not projected as a first rounder, but he's a good route runner. He blocks well, and I think we're going to continue to utilize our running game more with, the new system we're in with LaFleur. And so I think we'll need that. And his NFL comp is Jared Cook. And when Rodgers was with Jared Cook, I thought that was a huge mistake to let Cook go. And that's what they're saying his NFL comp is. And I think that those guys could make some hay. So I picked Bryce Hopkins from Purdue. Spoiler up.
I like that pick. I think that when I look at where he kind of ranks, I think that'd be a bad value if we took him in the first round potentially. But I love that comp for him. So Purdue always has some good tight ends that come out. I wouldn't be minding if you took Ben's quarterback. I wouldn't mind Jalen Hurts going to the Packers in the third round or something like that either. I think that'd be a great value pick as a backup. But Ben, you have Justin Jeffries, wide receiver. You want us to go with a young gun?
Yeah. So Justin Jefferson would be the wide receiver out of LSU. Burrow's main target from this last year. I just think he's got nice size. He's a real big guy. I don't know if he would fall, but I keep hearing people talk about how wide receiver heavy this year's draft is. So it's one of those things where I would like to see a guy like that fall. Last I saw, he was projected, late teens, early 20s. If we could make a trade, I think CD Lamb is going to be one of those guys who's just electric. I mean, I watched him a couple of games. I know Oklahoma had that really high scoring offense this year. But I think he is one of those kind of next level Tyreek Hill, freak elusive athlete sort of guys who's just going to make a huge difference for a team and almost do it immediately. But I do agree with the Jalen Hurts thing. Like you said, too, I would be okay with seeing them take a quarterback. I don't think I would want to see him do it until third or fourth round or later.
Yeah, I think Justin Jeffries it'd be a great value pick if we could get him at our 30th overall pick, but not sure if he'll be around. I went with a linebacker, same team, LSU. Also projected a little bit higher. He's projected in the 20s, top 20s. I don't think I would want Packers to make a move to do anything to draft anybody like this, but I think having an inside linebacker after we lose Martinez is something we got to fill. And with it being a deep wide receiver draft, I don't want us to reach for a receiver when maybe we can get one in the second or third round that's, potentially a little bit higher on the board. So, Jason, I think Jason's back with us.
Welcome back, Jason.
You're going to repeat a lot of information, but you went with another great inside linebacker, actually. You're on the same page with me, so Kenneth Murray.
Yeah, we signed Christian Kirksey from the Browns, and he could be a difference maker at the linebacker position, but add another young one and another guy that can cover some ground. Evan Silva currently has him projected at the Packers pick. I mean, we'll see. It all depends. We'll see how it all shakes out. Hopefully this all works out. I was the one who was recording, so I'm not sure if when I lost my internet, if this whole show even continued to record. So we'll check that out after. We'll just assume as though everything is fine for right now. And it's funny that as we're talking about the digital virtual NFL draft that I go ahead and lose internet service. And actually, it was my fault. I put my phone, which was my hotspot for my internet, on the dash of my car, which I am in, and it overheated. So the phone itself sort of shut down, so I lost my internet connection. But